How's everybody doing? Good. There you go. You guys sound fired up. All right. Just want to start out real quick here, obviously on a different note, with my sincere condolences for the Sperano family and the Minnesota Vikings. We're all thinking about Tony, his family, and the Vikings organization today, the coaching staff, Coach Zimmer, and the players. Obviously we love the game, and the coaching world itself is it's really connected by just a few degrees. We all have coaches. We have staff members here and players, and like myself, who have either worked with Tony or coached against him and knew him well. So our hearts and prayers go out to his family. We're thinking of him today. As we switch gears into training camp, we start talking about the process here. We're excited to get back. We have 90 guys in the building, ready to start working. And for us right now, it's just a great day to get it back out in the practice field, to meet with the players, to coach, and to get going. The wonderful thing about training camp, when you start off the season, it's really just focused on the day. There's not a game plan. It's not about a team. It's nothing about anything other than just your team, your ability to get better, and the players that are out there on the field. So it's a great day for us. I'm excited to be out there with the guys. We're going to be consistently trying to evaluate and improve the team as we go. We really take it on a day-to-day basis, and we're just trying to focus on that improvement as we work through training camp. It's a good opportunity for us just to put our heads down and grind through as we go. Okay? All right. Any questions?
Yeah, Coach, just in kind of generally, what are some of the key things that you want to sort of like take the next step in training camp that you try to implement starting in OTAs and mini camp, but now that you're really getting into it with pads and stuff like that? What would be some of those things?
Yeah, and that's definitely a great point as far as for us moving into training camp. We really have to kind of try to pick up exactly where we left off in OTAs. There's not a lot of time to redo things, the way that camp is set up and the quickness of the season and the preseason games as it comes upon us. So we'll see how that goes today, our ability to kind of pick up where we left off. The first couple of days of training camp, as everybody knows, is more in the OTA fashion, if you will. We're not in pads here for a couple more days with the majority of the team. So from that standpoint, it's hopefully we can go out and just practice at a good tempo and a good pace and make sure we can eliminate some of the mistakes that we improved on through the spring. And hopefully it looks like a good, organized drill out there every single time as far as the periods are concerned. And then we'll work into the phase with pads and try to get to some more of the contact physical part of camp from that standpoint here in a couple of days.
What were your thoughts as you woke up this morning, about to be an NFL head coach for the first time at training camp?
That's kind of an interesting question. When we were just outside taking a look at the field, the thing about it is we've been here for a couple of days practicing and going at it from the early training camp standpoint. So you're just really in mode, for me, and just talking from my personal mindset right now, just trying to make sure everything's organized, just trying to make sure we're ready to go from a drill standpoint. It's obviously very new for me from a coordination of where our drills are, the field setup. It's a little bit different than the spring, where the bodies are moving from period to period and coach to coach. And I just want to make sure that's at a high level. So that's really my focus. I'm trying to small picture and little window to make sure everything's, at a high level.
Do you think you guys have enough reliable pass rushers, to be able to consistently get to the quarterback when the season rolls around?
Yeah, long-term season, when we get to that point, we'll see where we're at. Right now for us, we'll go through the evaluation process of finding out, who can learn the fundamental techniques all the way across the board, whether it's on the defensive side, the run or the pass rush, the front, the coverage in the back end. All that stuff will be evaluated, and we'll try to improve it as we go. But, long-term game plan, rushing and getting after the quarterback in the season is something that's so far off for us right now. It's just on a smaller basis.
Not having Ziggy and Devon right now help or hurt that process of you guys getting those guys and what you have there?
Yeah, those guys will be out there when they're ready to go, and for us, we'll just evaluate everybody that is, to the best of our ability. It certainly gives the other guys an opportunity to get some more time out on the field, but, we'll just monitor all that as we go.
What level of concern there is, though, with Ziggy, considering this is the third time in 5 years he's at least started camp on the PUP list, and injuries have been part of his story for the last 3-4 years now?
Yeah, for us, really, this is my first year with him, so the stuff previously doesn't really matter. I think he's really worked hard to try to get himself ready to go, and he's just not quite there yet. And when he is, we'll take it from there.
Devon, what's going on with him?
Same situation, obviously was just working out, trying to get ready, and came in. He's just not quite ready to go. So, when he is, we'll take him off that and get him out there, and he'll be good.
Matt, what's your favorite part of training?
That's a good question. I would say my favorite part of training camp is finally, getting out there for the start of the first stretch. That's when the kind of the excitement goes. You got to love football and you got to love training camp. Like I said, training camp there's nothing to it besides just pure football. There's no scheme, there's no opponent, there's no timeline for, a Sunday game coming. It's just a standpoint we're going to go. We're going to set a bunch of parameters that we can just play football, just use fundamentals, try to improve and really work on technique and coach the game in probably its purest level at that point. So when you walk out on the field, again, the painted lines, the fresh cut grass, all of that sort of atmosphere around it, it's exciting, and that's what you do it. And really from that standpoint, it's something that I think if you've been in this game for a long time, takes you, back years to when, whether you were playing or first started coaching or even just a little kid running around, that's part of the excitement of the game and why, I think everybody loves it so much.
You clearly place a point of emphasis on conditioning. Are you a coach that has a conditioning test before guys can hit the field at training camp?
Sure. I mean, conditioning is a huge part of the game, of football. The game is played over the course of 3 hours or so, give or take. It's a physical, exhausting game. So the better conditioning and shape that you're in, certainly we think at the end of the game that you can play better. If you're tired or exhausted when that point of the game comes around, sometimes your decision making isn't as good. You can't execute at a high level, and your performance goes down. So, we tried to build that conditioning. We obviously aren't in any sort of shape right now where we could go out and play a 3-hour game, and that's something we started through the spring and through the courses of phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, like I explained. You build. So we're going to have to take a little bit of a step back and start building again towards that conditioning shape as we work through practice here before we get to the preseason games, and then hopefully we'll be ready to go.
I know that you talked to the team at the beginning of spring when you kind of first got with them, but what's your message to them and to this group as you really kind of embark on what is the bulk of the season here with camp?
Yeah, we talk to the team every day. I try to coach them up every single day on specific details or point of emphasis, what we're trying to accomplish that day. I think it's always good to sit in front of a group, football team, whatever it may be, and say, hey, here are our goals for today, and try to keep it on the short term, and they change day by day. There's obviously long picture goals and things like that. For us with training camp, our biggest focus is to try to have the best practice we can have right now, and we're not really going to look past that. And the biggest part of that when you have 90 guys out on a football field trying to work in a cohesive manner is really the organization of practice. It's something that's very different for the players, the coaches, probably something they haven't seen before just from my standpoint of what I expect from that. So getting everybody to move from drill to drill quickly, trying to be in the right place at the right time, knowing what they're doing in that drill and trying to take what we call the transfer from the meeting room or the classroom to the field. And that's really a huge part of the game for us.
Can you share big picture goals?
Yeah, I mean, big picture goals for us, and it's going to be another generic kind of overview, is going to be to improve as we go through, and how do we grade and evaluate that improvement. So certainly right now where we are, we should be better in a week and hopefully a month, and then as we look at September through October, our whole goal, big picture goal, will be to improve as the course of the season goes.
Hey, man,
How
I know
will
you
you
were just
handle it if a
recently
player wants to kneel during the anthem or stay in the locker room?
Yeah, I addressed the anthem issue before. The league's working on, the policy there. They issued a policy. We're talking about it internally here. So, that'll be something that'll be kept internal.
Man, I know you were just recently at a Tiger game hanging out with the fans. Do you get a kind of feeling of how important your team in this season is for the Detroit fans, considering Pistons, the Wings, and the Tigers are rebuilding or down?
You just generally get a feeling of how the energy and the excitement that this town, this area, this state has for sports, has for professional sports, college sports, and that's great. And that's the stuff really that I take to heart. The fans at the baseball game were outstanding. Everybody was cheering. It was obviously a good game from that perspective, and my kids enjoyed it. And the general passion that everybody has for the sports teams. To be quite honest with you, when I sit in those situations and everybody's excited and I feel that energy, it really makes me want to come back here to the office and just go back to work, because I'm like, all right, I got to try to make sure that I'm doing everything I can to make these fans proud. And so you definitely feel that energy. Absolutely. It's a great sports town, great sports, situation with all those teams being down in that area. I mean, that's really unique with all those stadiums right there. So very cool atmosphere, and, hopefully we look forward to trying to help that out the best we can.
Just to be clear right now, will you let them stand or sit?
Again, I talked about there is a policy by the league, and we'll address all that when it comes, but everything else is internal.
Actually, there's not really a policy by the league.
I think we're over here, right?
Well, go ahead, if they want to ask, go ahead.
I think I covered the anthem. We're good.
Okay, Coach, this is about a specific player, Glover Quinn. He's relatively new to you, but his experience with this team. How important is he with his skill and his knowledge implementing what you want to get done with this team?
Yeah, I mean, he's a great football player and has an unbelievable skill set and a very smart football player. So it's exciting, to have him here and with the team. And, I think he's a guy very similar in that room, talking position specific, like Tavon Wilson or guys from that accord and the back end, Diggs, guys that have to do a lot of communication out on the field. It's going to be great to have that out there. So we're excited to get, going from that aspect of it. It's a critical part of our defense with those guys that communicate in the back end and help get that communication out to the perimeter. Sometimes with the DBs, the guys that get a little bit further away from the football, it's, you're on an island, it's a little bit farther away, you don't hear things. So getting the information out to those guys is critical. So it'll be great to have them out there. Okay?
Thank you, guys.
All right, appreciate it. Thanks.